Hey, this is Noah. So I'd like to make this somewhat as an amendment to some previous ideas that I've had regarding Xbox. One of which I don't think I even made in a video. I might be wrong. I'll probably have to go back and check and make sure I'm not crazy. But there's been rumors floating around that Xbox is intending at some point to be buying SEGA. The newest article is also talking about Konami being bought by them, and me and Bryant both collectively agree, and I will word it as Bryant does. Konami. Good. I've been vocal to either my friends or possibly in the videos, if I actually did mention it, that the idea of SEGA being bought by Microsoft made me unnaturally upset. And the reason being is because I played through the entire Yakuza franchise on my PlayStation, and I would have been very upset if that meant I couldn't play them on there anymore. But I gave some thought, and it's not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be, in theory, because I criticized Microsoft before in a video where I was confused about how they're, doing all these moves to try to get me to buy an Xbox, but I don't really want to. One of them being that all of their games that they're releasing on Xbox are also coming to PC. In other words, no true console exclusives. And I criticized them for that before because of the idea that that does not encourage me to buy an Xbox on the grounds that I have a PC, which is also good for literally anything else. But here's the thing. Suppose if Microsoft bought SEGA, that probably would mean that any SEGA games that got turned into Microsoft exclusives, keyword Microsoft, not Xbox, not PC, means it's going to be released on both. And therefore, I wouldn't actually be missing out that much. I would just need to convert my resources over to playing on PC. So, in retrospect, I think I'm kind of okay with the idea of SEGA being bought by Microsoft. You can even go so far as to say, might even encourage it. The idea of Microsoft buying SEGA or Konami or both makes sense to me because of the idea that Microsoft struggles in Japan in general, and they always have. The idea of buying SEGA would not just come with the territory of, now we own Sonic! Yes! It also comes with the idea that SEGA, in general, is likable in Japan.
Master Chief and Puyo Puyo Tetris!
Let's go! SEGA had, or has, their arcade business, and they have a well-established understanding of what you need to do in Japan to do COVID. SEGA would be a good pick for trying to get a more established understanding of what goes on in Japan. I mean, if we're going to ignore the idea of Sonic, or Yakuza, which is the most Japanese Japanimation thing I've ever Japanesed, they also own Atlas. Don't forget. I forget it sometimes, but they own Persona. So if Microsoft buys SEGA, they will own Persona, namely Persona 5. Let that sink in for a few minutes. Persona.
Marcus Phoenix and Persona, baby!
Let's go! When you look at the original Xbox, how many SEGA games on there were exclusives and very literally being sequels to Dreamcast titles, like Shenmue 2 and Jet Set Radio Future. I've heard some people suggest that perhaps the Xbox is a sequel to the Dreamcast. The Xbox is the Dreamcast 2. So that would make the Xbox 360 the Dreamcast 3, and the Xbox One the Dreamcast 4, and now the Xbox Series X the Dreamcast 5. So in conclusion, go buy the Dreamcast 5 for Windows PC. This is Noah. That's Microsoft buying some promising third-party studios. See ya.